Frostpunk 2 came out a while ago, about 2 months ago, and I've been busy with school and such, as well as just, well, rewriting the script and recording the audio. I was going back and forth whether or not I should just do a review or a comparison, and previous iterations of when I just did the comparison or like focus more on the comparison, it made it seem like Frostpunk 2 was bad, which is not the case at all. It's very good. I do one towards the end of the video, so if you don't really care about the review, you just want to see the comparison, it's pretty short. Towards the end of the video, I'll put a thing so you can skip to it if you want to, but anyway, let's jump into it. Frostpunk 2 is a city builder resource management game. It overall has pretty simple gameplay systems with excellent, I mean excellent creative design, which is good since that's the main draw of the game. It's absolute polish, both with the visual, and while the gameplay is simple, it is very effective. It of course has your typical resource management and planning out the layout of the city. The resource management is not too difficult, even the highest difficulty, although this could be because I just got fairly good at games like this. I mean, looks like I think so. Besides in the early game, which I do think is a bit of an issue, albeit a small one, of the difficulty being more front-loaded, the city builder aspect isn't anything crazy, but makes you think enough for it to be engaging, planning out the tile system, which is trying to make the most of the adjacent bonuses of districts, as well as various hubs, which planning out your city can give you some really nice bonuses, just really good efficiency, makes you thunk, makes you think good about, especially when expanding and all that. The main gameplay thing you're going to need to worry about is the political aspect, meaning your community slash factions relations is going to be vital. Tension and trust to a lesser extent, although, like, if you're dipping into a fail state like this and it gets too low, getting out of it isn't really too hard. And any situation where you wouldn't be able to get out of it, you would end up failing anyway because that means your resources are really bad, conditions just horrible, which I mean it's kind of like that's why tensions and trust are high. But generally, like, it will be low because they are mad at you. But as long as you have good conditions in the city and have like some technology research, like those hubs, increase trust and reduce tension within housing districts, which basically make it so you can't really have that happen to you. It might dip in for a second when they get really pissy, but it basically makes that impossible to fail as long as you have good condition city. You will have a total of 4 communities, 5 in a Utopia builder. There will be 2 radicals and 2 non-radicals. Each faction has the ability when they like you. The radicals will be unique to that one, while the non will de-radicalize their radical version. Left is grouped together with the left, and right with right, so stalwarts will be for the Londoners, and pilgrims with the Frostlanders. Non-radicals will also join the radical when unhappy. Each faction also has their ideology. The 2 base opposing ones will be adaptation and progress, relying on either man or machine. The radicals will have more on top of that will give way to some different texts later down the line. The texts overall are pretty similar. Not the radical ones actually, give a good amount of flavor, but the old base off ideology. And one thing that was kind of disappointing is it's not really like based off the faction. It's tied to the ideology. Like, I was hoping the Faith Keepers would have some more church looking stuff, shrines, whatnot, churches. But no, it's just the same as the stalwarts, as not the exact same since they hold slightly different ideals, but the base ones stay the same, and there's nothing really unique to like the specific flavor of that faction, which I was hoping that was the case. It's just the ideology. So I mean, there is variety, but I kind of wish there's at least a little something besides the specific unique community abilities that they give, which isn't like a crazy thing to do. It's just like a specific bonus. Like for the Faith Keepers, it increases trust, and for the Stalwarts, it gives you more, I think, guard squads. They also have laws you can get from the text and the radicals, which you propose and could allow a faction to. The faction votes based off their ideology as a relation to you. You can negotiate with the factions to either vote for or against by promising to do something. You can also mess with the political power, as the voting power of the group is dependent on the size, which you can influence directly by promoting or telling them they eat babies of factions, well, only the radical ones, to either increase size and relation or decrease. And as mentioned before, if you piss off the non-radicals to join the radical, which, side note, you can have the non-radical version like absolutely hate you. They join the radicals, which love you, and all of a sudden they're just like the super great. Like, it doesn't influence the radical versions of any of you. I mean, that's like an allergy based thing, but you can just piss off the faction directly by mistreating them, by like demanding supplies and whatnot from them a bunch. But yeah, it's a really easy way to gain more political power because you just falling them into a faction that loves you, and so yeah, you do that. It's a pretty effective strategy. There's also the resource of heat stamps, which are the only thing you're going to be hankering for, which is generate passively from your pops, the max meaning demand for goods and decreasing the lower it is and the negative. It it's what you're going to need to do basically anything building and researching. So yeah, and these commodities just won't do anything if you don't have it, despite it being necessary stuff. Like I could understand if it's maybe like housing and they were being stingy and don't care about other people and looking out for themselves, but like building food and fuel things that give that like we're gonna need that collectively. Like it's not like oh I have housing, you don't need. No, we're all gonna need that to not starve and freeze to death. But I don't know, dying's cool, I guess. But then again, these also the same type of people that will get upset because instead of choosing a building that incinerates the trash, it recycles it, which is by the way the way better building. But whatever. You're also going to need a bunch of it, and the only readily available way is to get it from raising funds from communities, which lowers relations and demand, which gives more but lowers even more. Anyway, the thing is, there's a pretty robust political system, and keeping all the elements in check, which resources are not difficult, but managing relationships with the community is going to be the main struggle because, you're going to keep asking for money. Also, everything you do influences relationships with the community for which you research, build, and pass. There's also the overall city zeitgeist, which is the more you go to a certain ideology, the more people will kind of embrace it and want it, and you can also fully embrace it once you get to a certain point, which you get an ability off that ideology, but you only can build things that align with that ideology, otherwise you'll greatly increase tension. You're also going to want to centralize your power as much as possible, as often up you end up in a standstill in voting sessions because relationships are off, the voting power you might have messed up, depending whatever. A lot of things they're being ridiculous. Having the ability to pass pretty much any law unless they are really opposed to it or they like overall really don't like you, or being able to stop protests and eventually civil wars that will happen. As far as I know, I've only played Frostpunk 1 and 2, but 11 Blue Studios, the developer and publisher, their games have a commonality of having
Stewart!
and I don't know, dog, but authoritarianism seems to be the most effective option. I'm joking about like them pushing that ideology, but it is the most effective option, and increasingly add to political powers to ensure that the city survives. Is yeah, well, that would just set up a radical group and then crush any distance the city has. So whichever one you want to choose. Overall, the gameplay and experience is really good. I currently have a little under 70 hours, and that would be more, but it's a game I can pretty easily lose a lot of time in, and I also have to deal with the never-ending catch-22 of life of needing money for games, but the acquisition of money while providing games takes away gaming time. So yeah, the game's good though. Now I'm gonna keep this short, and because you need to like play Frostpunk to get that like the feeling of Frostpunk, which but like the visual, the small details to the upgrade screen, just getting more and more defrosted is going to tree the ice cracking sound when you open it. It's just really nice. The loading of a save, you get an image of random citizen. There's like the shouting of the steward's voice when you, well, not to its voice, but people calling out to the steward. You also when you open a community tab, the black smoke when a citizen is talking. It's like the little added details. There's also the cutscenes in the game, which like aren't anything crazy, but they're like just that a little extra, you know, niceness, a visual. It just adds to it. Also, soundtrack fantastic. First game also as well. I do think the first game soundtrack is a little bit better, but this one still is absolutely fantastic. A great listen, something that I'll even listen to outside of the game, and something that I'll actually just play the game and hear the sounds because I think it really adds to experience and not like watching a video while playing the game, which I do with many other city builders or listening to other music. Well, I would want some more uniqueness, at least when it comes to the main story factions and the difficulty being front loaded. The tech could use a bit more of a difference or flavor. Besides that, everything else is really good. Added to all that, you also get the Utopia Builder, which offers 9 new layouts, which with multiple new factions, which I think more interesting designs and abilities like the Ice Bloods, which arguably have the best bonus. And look at them. I mean, I'll listen to them. So quite a bit of content, which actually makes you wonder because the Utopia Builder aren't too far off from most of the first game's DLCs, which besides the last autumn, which is basically entirely a new game, which makes you wonder how like they're gonna, you know, how deal which are not out yet, obviously, but well, maybe at the time of watching this video they are. But I wonder what the DLC is gonna be like for this game because there are going to be some. So yeah, I'm expecting something pretty cool. Overall, I gave the game like a 9 to like 8.5. Compared to time, Frostpunk 1 and 2 have the same core feeling but different vibes, if that makes sense. And when you are really scraping the bottom of the barrel, at best you have a week away from collapse. It is a constant fight. It's also more of a intimate feeling. I'm not sure if it's like quite the right word to use, but you have a constant overview of your citizens, getting familiar with their names, and regularly see them comment on the state of things. The cold feels way more brutal as the temperature is right there in the center top, and you just really feel the effects of the cold. I also don't know what they did to the generator in the second game, but it can power the whole cities and seemingly power outposts and generate as much heat as it has fuel. In the first game, you can only go up to a certain amount, which you need to upgrade for. So even if your resources weren't good, you were good. I don't know if they weren't. You needed to research to upgrade, which was hard to do, and it just yeah, people were getting sick left and right. It was basically a constant thing because it was cold all the time. So you also have that issue, and it was way harder to treat people because you only had specific types of like specific qualified people to become doctors or be doctors. It was it was definitely more of a struggle than one. Your resource manager, which is a way bigger of a deal. And the hardest thing with you really need to manage your people and your resources. Stuff matters more of the community as to you as well. I like one better marginally, though both change that core feeling because of the skill changes. And if you only play two, I recommend one. It's great. It one thing that I really like about one and two is that typically, with most games, I mean, it depends on what type of game, but the sequel is kind of meant to be the upgrade, almost like a 1.5 to the first game. And this isn't the case at all. One and two definitely have their own things. Definitely still worth playing one. If, and vice versa. It's both. I really like that. It has a specific different core experience. But if you kind of want to see that more of that overview of your citizens, and more really brutal feel, at least to the extent of one, two does have it somewhat, but it just doesn't feel like as intense compared to one. And especially the more dilemma stuff is a lot less present in two than I feel like it should be. There are some kind of decisions you can make, but even in general, it's not like it really hurts to choose like the prioritize people's lives over like make sure you secure resources or whatever. It's yeah, I mean, still two was very good. Don't make it. I don't want to make it sound like it is bad, but yeah, there are some things in one which I do kind of wish were a little bit more in two, particularly more so the just the brutalness and the like really like clawing your way to survival. But even the hard difficulties, it's still not too bad. It's pretty manageable. Anyway, hopefully you found this helpful and enjoyed watching. I will hopefully be going back to making videos more consistently. I really was hit with a pretty good chunk of school. But now that I'm over that hump, for those who are subscribed and consistently watching, thank you. And for those who are in general, thank you as well. And yeah, see you soon. Bye now.